I think one of the unfortunate things in today's society is that not everyone gets that opportunity to have a mentor or to have idols where you can see what 5 years of dedication can do for your life. Because I saw it, I experienced it, and now I'll never forget it. I love the idea of being an intellectual. I love the idea of coming home from work every day and my partner asking me, what did you do today? How was your day? When I think about how I want to design my life, I think about how I want to answer that question. I quickly realized that, while joining a startup was phenomenally exciting and it was going to teach me everything I needed to know about being a founder, they're also super chaotic and no one has any time for you. So it's a really hard internship environment. Like, no one was actually guiding me. The shadow the CEO thing, it was like, you need to come here and figure out what problems you're going to solve and go do it. Why are we doing something for customers that they could probably do themselves? And I went and looked out on the App Store to see if there were solutions out there, and lo and behold, there were none. And I just thought, like, as this green 21-year-old, like, holy shit, this could be my thing. Like, this is the moment.
I heard the jackpot. You and your partner, you guys waited for some time until you had enough. And so how was that like? Did you reach up after doing the sales job? How was that transition?
I mean, I saved aggressively. I saved half of my salary while I was working there. And, come the end of that year, I felt well equipped enough to start. I felt like I've learned a lot in the last 12 months, and when you think about how you develop, you develop at a certain rate under fantastic mentors and fantastic environments. You develop also at a certain rate when you're on your own and you're ultimately responsible. It's like, you're starting your company. And I felt like, this journey on the left of continuing with the company was perhaps the growth rate was decelerating because I'd gone through this really early phase very fast, and it was just like the gap between my ceiling and where I was at was like slowly getting smaller. And I felt like if I stopped now and I started on this new one, in 6 months I was going to be better off. Like I was ready to go, and I had about $25,000 in my bank account saved. I stopped investing any money and I just put it into savings because I was like, I'm going to need this funds because what if we don't make any dollars? And it was December and I quit my job and our app was out on the App Store then. And then we aggressively started pursuing our first customers and trying to get to revenue. And fortunately for us, that transition period was beautiful and really clean for a few important reasons. One was we hadn't raised any money. So there was no immediate pressure to do anything that would have been ridiculously challenging. Like, it would have been really hard to have $1 million and have VCs saying you need to hire 5 salespeople in the next 6 months, like spend that money. Like, I probably wouldn't have been prepared for that. Like, that would have been hard at where I was at mentally and physically and just like what I wanted to do. But ultimately it was like the actual situation was, okay, you've got a great product, you've got a co-founder, you've just gone to market, like just grow as fast as possible. And your customers know, like, they're just there because they're interested in what you've built. You're not trying to blow their socks off. Like, they know you're a month old. Like, you're a new business. Like, the expectations are relatively low. And so I just put all of our content out on the internet and advertised this absolute no-brainer product. And we managed to grow really fast through like product-led growth and through our marketing of building in public, because these big brands that see a post where we said, oh, like, we're the first app to let a customer make a change to their order after purchase. And they immediately think, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Like, this is such a pain in my ass. I have a full-time employee who does that. And we were very lucky in that, like, 2 weeks after going to market, we signed up the Udi, who are a 9-figure business on Shopify. They do about 150, 200 million a year. And they were our first customer. And we signed a $2,500 a month contract with them. And we were away. Like, there was my ramen. I was paid, like, my lunches were paid for. I was not going to go broke. I was all good. And, we just try to keep stacking those wins and keep improving the product and all of the rest. And the story keeps going on from there.
Wow. Yeah. And once you started, like, getting this one, weren't you were advertising about your product, right? Uh, you're explaining it on social media, and this is new. It's it was kind of like, oh, why didn't I think about it? Because it's common sense. But then there's also the chance that somebody else would copy and replicate what you were doing.
Totally.
Did you guys think of that, like the competition part? What if
I,
somebody else does the same thing, patenting and stuff like that?
I did. I mean, for one, there's no way we could patent the product, unfortunately. I wish that would have been a dream, but they don't allow monopolies on the Shopify App Store like that. Um, and ultimately, we had three critical parts of our strategy last year. Like we did three things, and we only did three things. We did them very well, and it was build in public, and that was going to be our like inbound sales flywheel. We wanted to grow through inbound sales rather than outbound or any other vehicle. It was to win really large fashion brands first, like viral logos. Those were our ICP. And I forgot what the last one is, but the build in public was an interesting approach. It was it was so it was the perfect marketing approach for our target customer. The majority of people that buy our software are in their 20s, and they spend a lot of time on social media, and they like to follow stories, and they like to engage with people and relate. We're like in the loneliness pandemic, and building in public was perfect for that. We could create FOMO, we could present ourselves as cool and exciting, and people ultimately want to work with cool people that are winning. And so that's the story that we told. And the consequences of that, I did think about and was aware of, right? If you announce your product everywhere and visibly show your numbers of how fast you're growing, and you do invite competition a lot sooner and faster. I ultimately looked at that and I thought, that's a real risk to certain types of people. And again, this is a bit of arrogance shining through, but you do need to be a little bit arrogant, or confident is the word that I would use. And that the way that I answered that question when anyone presented to me, like, oh, you're putting a lot of risk on your business. Like, what about the downside? I'd always say, but what if we build in public so well, we get so many eyeballs that you literally cannot beat us? Like, it doesn't even matter if you compete because there are millions of people looking at our content. And I always thought we shouldn't shy away from this potentially significant outsized outcome if we could build a big audience. Let's think about it as that's our competitive advantage, and let's make sure we win. We can't, like, we're just going to beat that risk by being so good at this. And we're probably about, I don't know, we haven't nailed that. Like, I haven't got 5 million subscribers on YouTube or anything, but we have done a very good job of positioning as the one and only tool in this space, and the first thought of and the best thought of. It's so far to date. I'm glad we took that approach. I wouldn't trade anything.
Yeah. Hamish, you mentioned build in public, right? Like, what does that exactly mean? Can you explain that? Because I have not heard that term before.
I guess it's like,
I'm an old man.
it's like it's taking an influence approach to your business. Building in public is essentially you're documenting your story as it happens. A lot of people in business, founders, will tell their story after successful events happen, or they'll tell things retroactively. We document and tell these things in the present and at great detail and with no shame, no hiding. From the very start of our company right through to today, everyone knows our revenue numbers, to the point where I've even posted investor updates publicly on the internet. And we don't have more like our month-end reporting on the internet or quarterly reporting on the internet. What that's looked like for us personally, because there are different approaches you can take that. Some people are very analytical and they just share the numbers and they like tell every month how things are tracking. I love writing. I love storytelling. I'm like a very I have a lot. I have feelings and I like communicating them. I'm an open book.
Comes from your mom, I guess, because she writes,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
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 And for me, what that looks like is every single day of this business. Like, I think I've posted 450 times in the last year and a half or so. I describe what's happening in our company right now and how it feels. Right? Like, it's not just this is where we're at. Look at us. It's like, this is where we're at and this is how it feels. Or these are the things that I'm learning on a daily basis. Or maybe it is retroactive and it's like, when I was 16, I was an elite level rower, And I think that experience was fundamental for starting my business. And I talk about how sports in my early childhood played a factor in my company, and ultimately with the goal of relating to people and showing that we're human beings. We're not just software, building a brand, a personality, like our Nike. And also in turn, building my future career. If I started this company, we sold it for 20 million, and then I tried to be a teacher, and I had never put anything on the internet and never built a personal brand, it'd be relatively harder to find opportunities to like do that, to achieve that goal. If I start a company and I exit for 20 million and I've written content on the internet every single day and I've built a following of 30, 40, 50,000 people, it's probably going to be really easy to have a fantastic career in the future doing teaching. So it's been tactful in that regard too.
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing, and I'm super impressed with the kind of clarity that you have towards life, and you have like very clear path. Um, and so now let's like look at the business, and you've built, you started, and you're building in public, you're sharing your this. You have a team of how many people do you have right now, by the way?
We're a team of 6.
6. And like, what are those I mean, how are those discussions like? What are those discussions like when you sit together, all 6 of you, and I mean, you, your partner, and your team? What's going on in the company? What are the challenges? Tell us about like the life of that startup as it is happening right now.
I mean, there are some things that I absolutely love about our business, and one is that everyone knows what goes on in our heads. Everyone knows what we're building for, why we're building for it, what that means for them. They all have equity allocations, and they know what their outcomes will be, and also how those could grow if they get promoted and raises and things like that. And everyone chose to work here. And part of that thing that I love is that everyone who works here gets something more out of the business than just financial upside. For example, Lockie, who we hired as an intern in New Zealand as part of like this internship program that we've been doing and will continue to do, he wants to start a business in 5 years. It's like looking in a mirror. He's like looking in a mirror. And
Wow.
for him, like it doesn't matter what we pay him, and we do pay him well, and he's got equity. For him, like he's learning everything he needs to know to start a company in the future. And that's why he's loyal, and that's why he works here, and that's why he works hard. And that, like what that looks like today is that 3 months after his internship, he came on full time. And 2 weeks later, I said, "Hey, I'm moving to Mexico City for 6 months to keep building the company. I think you should come and live and work with me." And we live together now. And every morning we're up at 7 a.m. We take our first meeting together, and we finish at 11. And this kid's 21. Like it's phenomenal how fast he's growing. I'm forever impressed with him, and I gave him a promotion last night over a steak dinner. Like he's amazing, and I live and work with this guy, and he's so inspiring to me, and I'm inspiring to him. Erin, joined this business, and she worked for an e-commerce brand. She was actually one of our clients, and we took her out. We offered her an opportunity, and she gets paid amazingly as well. But she's so grateful and so committed and so loyal here and values driven, because she thought her career was stuck in a box. She thought she was going to be an e-commerce manager for the rest of her life. She didn't think that she could break out of that and take other opportunities. And here she is in the software world and like absolutely crushing it. And she's going to have an amazing next 15 years if she wants to stay in this industry. Like the world's her oyster, and she felt like she was stuck, and we helped her get out of that and made her feel empowered again. And those team meetings, we all just jump on, and we're full of joy because we know what we're working towards. The vision is crystal clear, and there's no lies, and we can see how we're tracking towards it. And if we're ever tracking towards it poorly, then we have a conversation. We talk about it, and I open up that call and I say, "This is where we're at. These are the challenges." We don't lie about the challenges, and we come up with a plan to just dominate them and make sure that we stay on track towards our goals, because everyone wants to achieve that outcome. And we have an absolute ball together. Like we're all working crazy hours, but we do it because we love our jobs, and we're just having a lot of fun. It's a really enjoyable experience. I've loved being CEO of this company a lot more than I thought
Nice.
I would.
And who does the selling? Do you do the sales yourself, or do you have the team? Do you have a salesperson?
We have a couple people who do sales. One's part-time in the UK, and then Lockie does sales with me.
Okay.
I do, like, the majority of my role is revenue. CEO is probably like not quite the right job title. I mean, I do the hiring and I set the strategy, but honestly, our team is so autonomous that it's like not a big job remit. And what I love doing, like what fuels my fire, has always been selling. Like ever
Yeah.
since I had that year, ever since I got good at selling, I just love doing it. So I still dominate pipeline. I still try and take as many demos as possible. Like that's how I spend my time, because ultimately it's the most important metric to our business, and I'm glad that I spend the most time working on that. Like revenue matters here, not headcount,
Absolutely.
not anything
Re-
else.
Revenue matters, sales matters a lot, and this is why I keep going back to that the sales part here. And I don't know if you want to, like, if you're comfortable sharing like your approach to sales, like how do you sell? What is in specifically in your case, like what do you do before going, before after, during the meeting, after?
So it's an interesting question to answer because we're a global business and it depends on where the buyer is from. You know, 50% of our customers are in the US, but the other half are split between the UK and Australia. And if I'm selling in Australia, it's my home turf and I play on that, right? I make sure I form a connection. I tell them I lived in Melbourne for a while, or that I'm from New Zealand. Like I talk about us being a local business and that we hire locally, and we really build a connection on a friendly level. Australians they want to buy from people that they want to be friends with. It's not a very strong sales culture. It's indirect selling. So I jump on those demos, I build a relationship, and I'll always start the call with like that friendly basis and then start understanding why they booked it. A couple of key questions that I always ask, actually irrespective of location, is where did you find us? Like where did you come across this product? And also, why did you book a meeting? And it's like a really it's a lighter, less salesy way of asking what problem are we solving here. Like asking like what problems are we solving can get people a bit like, oh, like I don't have issues. But it's like, why'd you book the meeting? And it's like, well, like, you know, I know that we get like 20 emails a day about this, and it'd be nice to remove them. I think it'd be good for our customers. And like then I know the motivation and I can pinpoint on that when I do the demo.
Mm.
In the US, it's a little bit more direct. They like clarity, they like fast, they like speed, they like super clear numbers, case studies, all of those types of things. It's very direct selling. They don't hide away from it. And so I lean towards that as well.
You said that they book it, so I mean, you're not doing a cold calling. They're booking the meeting with you.
Oh, yeah. Like 80% of our work is inbound.
Inbound. Okay. How does that work then? I mean, do you advertise and then let the customers book, or how does that work?
I post every day on LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
People, and I connect with all of our ICP. Like I connect with people daily. And I know that in a couple of weeks, they'll start seeing our content. And then if they see our content for a couple of months, they book a meeting. They get to our website eventually. They go, oh, I keep seeing this thing. It looks interesting. I'm finally going to book a call when they're in market to buy it. It's like our advertising. It's like free advertising. When we did influencer merchandising, when we did the YouTube merchandising, we didn't do paid ads because they could post a ad segment in a YouTube video and that's their advertising. And I guess we do the same thing. We post content every day and it will convert over time.
Wow. So it's LinkedIn, like through LinkedIn, you post a lot of articles, and I mean, that's
Yeah.
So the customers now call you, and then I mean, or book the call, and you get on the call with them, and then you understand, you ask them what their requirements are by asking why did you book the call, and that gives you an understanding about their motivation,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Then I'll understand what their tech stack is and give them confidence that we can integrate with it. They might say, oh, we use this for shipping shipping out our orders. We use NetSuite for our financials. And I'll say, oh, amazing. Like, Adenola, Opoly, and Represent all use NetSuite too. And we integrate really nicely. And they're on the call and they're like, well, okay. Like one, there's some big name drops, and two, it's given me confidence that this will work. And once I have all of the information about, why they booked the call so they can tailor the demo to their needs or their wants, because some people come to us and they want to generate revenue, and the tickets are less relevant. And if I understand their tech stack, and I can give them confidence that it works, and I'll start screen sharing, and I'll do a live checkout experience. So I'll go like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to walk you through the customer's experience. Like, let's step into their shoes. And I'll go to one of our clients' websites and I'll place an order. And I'll go buy a pan from Hexclad, and I'll click pay now. And as a customer, the first thing I'll see will be edit my order. And I'll go, this is us. Like, this is our app. And like, I'm a customer and this is what I see. And I'm just going to go and change my address right now. And for them, they're like, okay, this is a stark contrast to the phone calls that I get or the emails that I receive. And, you know, we do 30-minute sales calls. We try and book an onboarding meeting on that call. I send a follow-up deck with, you know, case studies, the questions and answer to what they said, commercials, and a link to our YouTube channel, which has like more collateral, like more demo recordings, live checkout experiences, case studies, all of that, our documentation, so that they know like they can always revert back to that and relive the experience that they went through, and it converts.
Wow. And so you have now, like, I mean, this, you have a certain amount of revenue right now, and you have your, you know, certain amount of profit at this point, right? In the last 18 months now, and you're working towards a goal. Then, like, what's the, I mean, what do you have in mind in terms of how you're going to reach that goal? Are you thinking of like expanding geographically, organically? You want to grow? How do you take it from?
We've just launched a new extension to our product, and we're now not just post-purchase, we actually do upsells on the checkout, and we're actively upselling customers in the pre-purchase journey. And so we're making our brands more money. We're also launching like a world-class address validation service to, again, reduce operational costs and overhead and solve more customer problems. It'll like flag incorrect addresses and prompt customers to fix them and send automated emails and things like that. And, you know, we're just continuing to progress towards our revenue goals. You know, we do about 1.5 million a year now. Come the end of the year, we'll be doing somewhere between 2.5 and 3, particularly with these new products coming out and being able to upsell our existing customer base and generally have better marketing. And at that point, who knows? You know, who knows what types of multiples we can command in software, especially with our growth rates and our profit margins. And, you know, there could be an acquisition later this year. There could be one early next year. It could take a little bit longer, but we are still laser focused on that goal. I suspect we'll start having very serious conversations at the end of the year, because at 2.5 million, if you're getting a 5x, you're already looking like fantastic and pretty close to that. You get a 7x, it's even better, and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Brilliant, man. You know, when you look back now at the point that where you are, and when you look back at the beginning of your career when you started working, and I mean, it's been about how many years in total now? About
Like my
4,
professional
5
career,
years? Yeah.
I've been a YoPro for about 3.5 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
young
So,
professional.
yeah, professional 3.5 years. Right. Is there something that you would do differently, or is there something that you would advise the kids who are starting now? Okay, something that you did right, or something that you would probably do differently. What would you advise them?
Things that I did right was being hyper clear about what that goal is, and having an appreciation for how much you can achieve on a longer time frame than just like a New Year's resolution. I think the best work that I ever did was, where do I want to be in 5 years, and then backwards engineer the steps I could take to guarantee that I get that outcome. And that was like the whole antithesis of everything that I've done. And that laid up all of the actions or receipts that I accumulated over time to make sure that I could do this. And, you know, to like map that out, I wanted to be a founder in 5 years of a successful business. What do I need to do as a 20-year-old to make sure that happens? I'm going to start consuming and reading business books and learning nonfiction, so that I can develop my skills. I'm going to specifically work in startups so I can understand how companies begin and get airtime with founders. I'm going to understand financial literacy so that I can like make sure that when there comes a time where I have an idea, I'm financially independent enough that I could quit my job and go and pursue it, and I'm not like in the golden handcuffs of a salary.
Yeah.
And I pursued mentors, and I went to therapy as well, because I thought like the journey of a founder is probably going to be pretty mind intensive and is a real mental health risk. And if I can get ahead of that, then I'm going to be better off. And those are some of the steps that I took. And I'm very glad that I did them. And that lays up to, I guess, things that I regret. Things that I regret are as soon as I started the company, as soon as we got busy, it became relatively harder to do all of those things. Because suddenly you're like fighting fires and you're just your days fill up and it's hard to justify finding time to read books or to go to therapy or to make sure you see a mentor every single week or to get career guidance and things like that. And maybe that's less important as you get older because you have more foundational skills, but my foundations are still being built. Like my brain's not even fully developed yet. I'm not 25. Like I'm literally so early on my journey. There's still so much more to grow. And I've had lapsing periods where I don't engage with those things and I always end up worse off in 6 months. I'm always the best. Like Hamish is the best version of himself. He's the best founder. He's the best operator when he still reads a book every week, when he still goes to therapy every fortnight, when he still engages with a mentor every single month. Like, don't lose those things just because you're doing the thing. Like, always value, never underappreciate practice and training and development outside of like your day-to-day job. It's important.
Yeah. Keep sharpening your axe.
Keep sharpening your axe, exactly.
Yeah. What books would you recommend, Hamish?
I
Top
mean,
3 probably.
look, most people have read them and for good reason, but the top 2, I still think to this day, I've read like over 100 books in the last couple of years, are Atomic Habits and How to Win Friends and Influence People. Undoubtedly, probably the most transformational books that I've read. And yes, they're quite generic and well known, but that's for good reason. They're popular for good reason.
Yeah.
A slightly more unconventional one would be a book called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. It's actually a book about therapy and about understanding oneself, and it's written by a therapist. And probably one of the best books I've ever read, and
Yeah.
I really loved engaging with that. From a business perspective, outside of those 2 classics, either Mastery by Robert Greene, which is about effectively sharpening your axe and making sure you get really good at things and how to practice, or even a book like Made to Stick or Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger, who's the Disney CEO, for reasons being they get you really good at your communication skills. And communication is a lot of the answer to success. If you can host a good meeting, you're doing pretty good. If you can write a fantastic email, if you know how to work with people, like it's a lot of those fundamental skills that are actually more valuable than being the best in the world at finance or being a super specialized like marketing person. Like actually a lot of the people who win out here in the real world do the fundamentals extremely well. Clear communicators, they work hard, they're confident, they signal like positive things to the market, and they know how to win.
One final question as we wrap up here. How do people reach out to you, people who are watching this and are interested in learning more about what you and your team are doing?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna learn more about me, if you wanna keep following the progress that we're doing, your must-have is to follow me on LinkedIn. Hamish McKay, it's Hamish MCKY. I post every single day. I'll continue to tell the story online, and you can always backtrack through my posts to read even deeper onto our history because it is all there. I promise you, it's all there in the public eye, and it's. I like to think it's a good story to watch.
Great, man. Definitely. We will also link, we'll add the link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes and in the description for YouTube.
Perfect.
Well, fantastic, man. How was your experience being on the podcast here?
Loved every second. Thanks for probing the right questions.
Thank you, man. You did fantastic. I mean, this was like such an amazing conversation. I loved every minute, every second of it. Thank you so much for taking out time and coming on the BYOB Podcast.
Thanks.